guy. Hi, good evening, everyone. How you doing? It's really nice to just welcome you to another episode of Flop Nights. It's um, it's always awesome having to share with you all, and that's exactly what we'll be doing tonight. Flop Nights, of course, we know untold stories of failure. Every single time we keep re-emphasizing, letting you know that failure is not the end, it's not an anchor. It's something that should propel you to your next idea. And I'm really excited today because today's session is more like it's just a really relaxing one for me. It's really a proud moment for me actually because I will be having a session with my former boss, and it's just really nice for me because this is Akanimo Ekong that I'll be actually having a session with tonight. He's I would say if you like me or you like what I'm doing, then I learned quite a whole lot of these things also from Akanimo also. Is someone that has really influenced me over the years, I would say. But before I even start there, I'd say first of all, who is Akanimo Ekong? He's what I would call a performance coach. He's a serial trainer. He ensures he delivers maximum value and transformation to professionals and entrepreneurs all across Africa. I've known him for a little, almost 10 years now. And I would say a little over 10 years, I would say, yes. When I was with him, I had a stint with him at Resourcery. Then he was the ED People in Projects. But besides that, he also has an MBA also from the prestigious Lagos Business School. He's an international certified coach, and that's from the Franklin Covey training. And he's also a certified mental health counselor. Wow, awesome. He has spent over 20 years in co-building one of the leading systems integration companies in Nigeria. And he's done quite a whole lot of programs all around left and right, and he's influenced quite a whole lot of people. He has his uh, he has his educational roots also in chemical engineering, and he has done so much. He's contributed so much to developing the everyday person you would see, giving people like me actually a chance to actually be able to push their careers and actually become that which is actually even seen before we even started. So I would say it's really awesome, and I will be introducing Akanimo Ekong. Hello, Akanimo. Good evening. How are you doing, boss?
Let's leave it at Akanimo. Great. Thank you.
How are you doing, Akanimo? How's it going?
I was wondering when I remember trying to tell you that time to just call me Akanimo. You said no, boss. I must call you boss. Well, I'm happy. 7 years
Yeah,
later, you're now calling me Akanimo. So great.
yeah.
Great to have. Great to be here. And I was wondering whether that um, bio was about me or someone else. But thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's all you. It's all you. So I know I didn't do justice, but in your own words, let's get to meet you in your own words.
Oh, I think you've done more than enough. So beyond my career, what do I do? I'm married. I have children. I'm father of Thor, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, Black Knight, and Boss Baby. So I have five children, and
Whoa.
married to
Mhm.
Wonder Woman. So my house is full of multi-talented
Mm.
people. But yeah, um, beyond that, what do I do? I love cycling. I love reading and research. You can see some of those books behind me.
Yeah.
Um, but I found that I'm more a researcher than a reader. So don't ask me how many of those books I read. I just listen to them when I need, I want to be able to help someone, coach someone, or conduct a training, or just teach life lessons.
Mhm.
Um, and all that. And what else? I like spicy food, and I'm very into good governance. So the Soroso case resonated well with me, and and so that's me in a nutshell. I love competitive entertainment as well. So once it's a game show or anything murder mysteries, then count me in. So he said it's a relaxed atmosphere, and that's what it is for me today. So thanks. That's me in a nutshell.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's good. That's good. So I would say this. So Akanimo, let's talk professional now. Let's go into
Sure.
your um let's talk about you, your journey, places where you've worked. Let's talk about let's have an insight into you as a professional. Let's see different projects you because I know definitely you've done a whole lot of projects, different things you've done. Let's even just get the backstory there before we go to the main point, which are the flops.
Well, the
So I don't want
flops.
to rush it. I don't.
When I was thinking of it today, I said I'm sure some of these flops even started from was I started from secondary school, not even from my career. But anyway, so my father was in diplomatic corps. I went to the international school in Ibadan,
Okay.
um, and then from there I went to the University of Benin where I studied chemical engineering. I guess I was good in physics, chemistry, maths, and all that. So I read chemical engineering
Mhm.
in University of Benin. No regrets, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Uh, but the number one question I was asked throughout my 25 years in resourcery was when I asked the interviewee, "What do you have any question for me?" They would say, "I went to your website and I noticed you were a chemical engineer. Please, why are
Wow.
you in why are you in HR?"
What
So
happened?
what happened? So I said, "Well, life happens."
Mm.
Um, and then I joined an IT company, and then after that I joined the resourcery, and I spent a quarter of a century there, spanning from sales to project management, operations, human resources, IT, where I met you, and
Mhm.
just making sure that the back office of the organization just ran smoothly, so
Mm.
that the sales and market facing teams could go and do their work and not worry about
Yeah.
the back office. So I spent a good chunk of my time there. After that, I did 1 year, about a year, and I was a managing director of a company called Great Place to Work.
Mhm.
They're a global company, but they have an affiliate here in Nigeria. Spent about a year there, and then I said, "Hey, I think it's time to do my own thing, step out into the deep, crazy stuff." But one of the things we're talking about today, I'm sure, is making sure that you live a life. Uh, I can't remember what the great man of God would say. It's a die empty. So make sure that you live your life and you're not regretting
Mm.
um, some of the choices that you made then. So I decided to take that step, that plunge.
Mm.
Tough one, sleepless nights, but did it, and I'm doing what I love doing. I feel I'm able to help people to succeed no matter what life throws at them. So whether it's helping, training them, team building, coaching, and counseling, um, and so impacting the individual, impacting teams, and impacting organizations. So that's what my passion is. That's what makes me happy, and that's what I'm good at. So
Wow.
I'm doing
Wow.
it. I never hammer yet. The hammer hasn't, the pepper hasn't got.
Akanimo is saying, "Azin Hamad, no problem. We are behind you. We're
I'm doing what I
behind you."
love, and that's important.
I
Yeah.
know. I know. We're behind you. Oh, but the thing is, a lot of people will be wondering what are the things I caught from Akanimo while working with him. It would first of all people skills. Always believing in people sincerely. I remember myself just stepping into the office first time and it's like, "Ah, this young dude, okay, let's give him a shot and let's see." And here we are today. So I'd say people skills, I'd say that very well. But then Akanimo, along the line you've made quite a number of decisions. I know very well, at least when I met you, you were sitting at the helm of, you were holding the reins, a very, 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 very big position as at that time. And I know there's a story. And I know there's a story we've never, and that's one thing I like about Flop Nights. It's not scripted. We've not had this conversation before. But I know very well there's a story. I knew back then a lot of things happened back then. And this is our time to actually let's just talk. Let's be real. Let's tell that story today. What happened in between the making of Akanimo into that position? I know, yes, there were quite some flops that you did then, that we, company as a whole, different things happened. And this is the time for us to just share and let's learn.
Nice one. So I think the on one end, one part of I love about this kind of program is, one can feel free. The other end is that you can just turn around and set you up, set you up. But yeah, in terms of so what kind of things happened? So in growing a business in Nigeria, many times you learn as you go. Um, I'm happy you said, when you came in, you weren't you developed your people skills on the go. So many things I learned in resourcery uh, were things that I learned on the go. I said I read chemical engineering. I didn't study human resources. I didn't do a master's in human resources. I think it was during my MBA I now realize that, hey, I don't really like sales, and I seem to be inclined more towards, making sure that the structures are correct and put in place and all that. And so it was anything I learned in that period, and the organization provided that environment, and I'm sure you will agree, was, you could make mistakes, and you won't be buried or killed for it. You make mistakes, and the most important thing is, okay, so what did you learn uh, from those mistakes? It doesn't mean that you won't once in a while get slammed. I'm sure I slammed you or some other people several times. But how do we learn? How do you stand up from? How do you pick up after making those mistakes? After making those blunders? So I was never, like I said, I joined as a sales executive. I left as an executive director. And sometimes
Wow.
people ask me how did that happen? One of the things that I liked about the organization, I used to boast that it was a zero politics environment. Um, I'm sure there were, I'm sure, when I say zero policies, I'm sure I'm exaggerating a bit, but to a large extent,
Yeah.
policies didn't rule and determine, who was hired. For instance, in all the years I worked there, my MD never imposed an employee on me. And I boast about that, and I see that in other organizations I consult for. I say, hey, my MD will say, hey, I like this person, consider this person, and then we put the person through the our standard tests, and make sure the person is a resource fit. And if the person is not a fit, go back to the organization or go back to the MD and say, sorry, this candidate that you brought doesn't fit, and he wouldn't impose that. So um, that's the kind of environment that we nurtured, and that's what we also help to impact on others. I found out that um, people that would meet will say, "Oh, they will say, oh, we hired some resource staff in our organization. How come they're so bold? How come they challenge other people?
Yeah.
How come, if I heard that so many times, and I guess it was just a testimony of, the culture that we were able to cultivate, where, don't call me boss if I make a point and you think it's and you disagree with that point. Challenge me politely, challenge us, have a rigorous debate about it, let the most logical um ideas win. But it was never about age, it was never about job title. It was just about,
Okay.
hey, let the ideas flow. So whether mistakes we made along the line, you bet we made mistakes. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I think one of my philosophies, and especially now that I'm an entrepreneur, is make those mistakes, get up, and move on. One of my favorite, I said I'm an avid reader. One of my favorite books is by John Maxwell, and it's called Fail Forward. So when you told me about flop nights, I said, all right, this just ties into, and the people out there, I just strongly recommend that's a book to read. It's called
Right.
Failing Forward because you are going to make mistakes, but the most important thing is don't sit there in those in that place. Don't wallow there and keep on. Um,
Pity.
had I known, the pity party, and then you
Yeah.
don't move forward. Exactly. So fail, get up, learn from it, move on. That's been my philosophy.
Awesome. Awesome. So now we're going to put an X-ray right on you now, and
Mm.
we'll get into the interesting parts. So now let's talk about those failures. I know, yes, you bounce back, but then we want to hear, we want to see through you. Everyone says, yes, Akanimo. I saw someone who was like, wow, Akanimo is coming. I've listened to him once and it was transformational. It was this, but they don't know what you've gone through. They don't know the different nights that you probably had to wonder exactly. I can imagine you as a petrochemical engineer now, or as a chemical engineer in this case now. The tipping point, something must have happened. Switching careers, lines like that doesn't just happen that way. Something must have happened. Maybe frustration. It could have been not getting a whole lot of things in between. Then I know very well. Let's just do that extra in your own words. Yes.
Life happened. Okay, so nice one. I always used to say that my father, when he was alive, would have wondered and said to himself, "What exactly? This guy went to read chemical engineering in school, 5 year course. In our days, there was a public school, so lots of strikes, a lot of sorrows. Okay, and so we always used to say we read medical engineering. We must have spent 6 years in school with all the ASU strikes and all that. So um, first question, why this switch? So in engineering, we used to do something called industrial training. So you do industrial training from your second 200 level. Um, and I did that 200 level, 300 level. Well, okay, if I'm very honest with myself, that 200 and 300 level, I didn't really do it. I just,
You
found,
just
played, and then got some guy to help me sign and all that. So we're being real here, Abi.
mhm.
Provided they don't retract they don't
Yeah.
retract my certificate. Too. Um, but in 400 level, which was a 6 months industrial training, I met I met the person who, to a large extent, I would say, changed my life. He was a hard guy, and first of all, he was upset. I worked at Schlumberger. He was upset that I got the job. He wasn't there. I don't know how. Then my dad or someone linked me, and I got the job. So first of all, he was quite pissed off that I was hired without his say so.
Mhm.
But after that, he was doing things like come to work at 7:30 a.m. And if I can go back, in secondary school, I was what's the word you call now? Would it be a nerd, or you know, no party, no girls, no cigarettes, no alcohol, nothing. It
Mhm.
was just me and the books. And so I finished from school with 6 A's. My wife, it was great, and I entered university, and then my eyes just gang open, saw the light, as it were, the alcohol, cigarettes, women, the parties, and all that. And
Wow.
this guy who's got 6 A's, I scored 302.
Mhm.
I scored 302 in JAM. I came
Oh,
second in engineering in the entire school. In
wow.
my first year, I failed. You have to see.
Wait, As in,
As in, sorry, you cannot go to 200 level. Repeat year one.
wow.
I said, eh?
Wait,
I'm going
I'm
to
going
do what? From the 6 A's and 302 to repeat year one. How? I
how? How
beg,
does it add up?
talks, didn't add up. And I could never forget, God bless my father, man, that journey home from on one of those Kennedy Chuku buses. Uh, then we used to have attachment seats when you can't afford the full seat. So you sit
Yeah.
along the corridor. And that was the longest journey home. And I just, how am I going to tell my dad that? But, my dad didn't beat me up on it. That's another big lesson I've taken in life. He didn't beat me up on it. He didn't shout on me. He didn't scold me. It was almost like, you know, what do you want to eat, son? It's a long journey. And, we just talked about it a little bit. What have you learned from it? And, I moved on. So anyway, fast forward to, but I didn't really, I learned, but I didn't learn. And I didn't really attend lectures on my second year and third year, and just playing around and enjoying life as it were. But in that year four, when I met this crazy guy in Schlumberger, he insisted that work start at 7:30 a.m. And I cultivated that discipline of coming to work at 7:30. It was my real first time of doing industrial attachments. But two things happened. One, I cultivated the discipline, but then I realized I didn't really like this idea of just sitting down in one place looking at some distilling some chemical oil, not interacting with people. I didn't really know them, but there was an uneasiness. So I finished from university, made a 2-2. Looking back, I easily have made a 2-1. But no regrets. That's life. So sometimes when I see organizations say, "Oh, we will only hire 2-1s in this organization," I'm like, I beg you. That's how you would have knocked out someone as smart as I am. But I decided to play most of the time and all that. So when I finished university, I tried to get a job in an oil company. I didn't really put much effort in it. And when it didn't work out, I looked for, I needed to work. So I found a job in an IT company then, worked for a year, and then I got into resourcing. And that's when I just started doing sales. And so I think someone has already thrown something in the chat room. Sometimes I say to people, okay, maybe your ideal job is X, but no, that job is not coming. Well, don't sit down and do nothing. Do something else. And then, over time,
Evolve.
things would evolve. You might notice that you have skills that you didn't know. People will notice things about you and say, hey, why don't we put this person on this job because he's good at managing people. He's good at attention. His attention to detail is strong. So, so I joined sales. Do I like sales? No. Capital? No. I did sales for like 3 years, 4 years. And then I started leading a team of engineers. And then the management then saw that, okay, this guy knows how to lead people, and he can even lead people who are techies, because these were not chemical engineers. These were, you know, IT engineers and all that. But I was able to successfully lead them, and at the same time, I was putting my hands in things that didn't concern me. How come we don't have job descriptions? How come we don't have an org structure? And so by the time I did my MBA at LBS, I just said, nah, 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 nah. This is me. This HR aspect is and so it evolved. And then I started doing human resources, started doing and working on things that I just liked things working smoothly. So over time, they would say, okay, come on, can you handle this procurement aspect as well? And I said procurement, but I don't exactly like procurement, but bring it on. And I handled procurement, turned things around. And then I think by the time I met you, they asked me to lead the largest group in the company then, which was our engineering uh, customer fulfillment group. And again, it was just about, I found that I was good at working on processes, improving, making sure that things just ran uh, smoothly. And so, finding your niche um, in finding your niche in those areas. So that's what got me to that level. And before you ask one of the a story that I know that I am going to tell in terms of feeling and all that. Those, as an ED, especially in Nigeria, many times they will say, yeah, you're an ED, but you can't just say you want to stay in the back office
Yeah.
because many times in Nigeria you have to use the power.
Mm.
The guys with the big salary, the EDs, the MD, people with the big titles, let them go and look for business as well. But
Yeah.
remember, I said me and sales were not
You're not
friends
friends.
at all. So I remember this day we were bidding for a very large bank in Nigeria, a huge multi-billion naira deal, and they asked me whether I wanted to come for the meeting. And of course, my default answer was no. And they said, but it's nice if we go in. We many of us go, right? And three EDs go,
Mhm.
and seven staff. That's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And so I went there. I went for the meeting, and I saw one of the ED of the bank was also in university with me as well.
Hmm.
We didn't really say much to each other, but we presented. They wanted me to come because they felt they noticed over time that I was good with. I'm very observant. So
Hmm.
they noticed I was good with body language. I can tell if someone is happy. I can tell if someone is pleased. I can tell if someone is irritated or if we're about to get the deal. So they wanted my feedback. Okay, what do I think the MD is the MD leaning towards us? And I said, yeah, I think this deal is coming to us. The MD was very impressed. I noticed his body language.
Hmm.
The EDs were also impressed and all that. But after that, something happened. One of our competitors, I won't go into too much of that detail, but one of our competitors was about to snatch the deal away from us. And I felt this deal was rightfully ours. So my MD said, can you contact this guy that went to school with you?
Hmm.
And I said, okay, but I didn't contact him.
Hmm.
And looking back, I mean, I later reflected on why, but I didn't contact him for a long time. My MD said, I really need you to contact this guy because we need some insight as to what's going on. It took me about a week to finally contact him. I eventually sent him a text. My MD said, no, call him, call him. I eventually did, and we're able to work things out, and we won that deal. And my MD always said that I was a huge contributor to winning that deal. Um, Lessons I will throw out here was one. It was, I think, some people, fear of rejection is a big issue, and I started asking myself, so the issue, why didn't I want to call this guy? And when I reflected and told myself some home truths, it was simply that I just couldn't deal with the rejection of someone saying something to the effect of, we haven't talked for 7 years since Uniben.
Yeah.
Now you know me. And
Yeah.
just that fear was going to come in between us and winning a 2 billion naira deal.
Wow.
By the time I reflect on it, I said that's really silly.
Hmm.
Um, but the truth of the matter is that many people I counsel and I coach, these are kind of issues that they face. You wonder why they're not moving forward in life in some area.
Hmm.
And it's something that, as it may be something as small as rejection, small as fear of public speaking. And sometimes it's deep rooted into how they grew up, um, things their parents said. By the time I did my own self reflection, I realized that it started from back in secondary school when we had when we had parties in those days. The guys stay on one end of the room, and then the ladies stay at the other end, and then the dance floor is there open. So when the music starts, the guys nudge each other and say, "Hey, go and ask that girl to dance." And this particular day, this guy nudged me and said, "Look, go and ask that girl to dance. I think she likes you." And then so I took this long walk,
Long
you
one.
know, long walk, flew my collar, then you fly your collar to feel, feeling cool. I took that long walk and I said, "Hi, excuse me, dance." And she said, "No." And her friends started laughing. And then that was not the worst part. The worst part was turning around and then going back to face your guys who are laughing at you and saying, thank you, look at this guy, look at this guy. But, it's funny, but I realized that that was what was holding me back 30 years later, that I wasn't going to go and call somebody that can help us close
because of
a
that.
2 billion naira deal.
And
So
2 billion that time, or 2 billion that time, not 2 billion now.
guy, check out now. So that's about six, maybe like 6 billion now.
Wow.
And when you look back, it's what? Because of rejection. I'm like,
Just
so you know,
what's the ones that he could say no?
thank you. And that's when, now that you see, now the benefit of now being a coach or a counselor is when people are facing those kind of issues, you have to slowly, because it's funny now because we're having fun and all that. But when I'm coaching or counseling somebody, this is what may hold them back from having a successful relationship or marriage. Something that happened, oh, this guy nailed me, or before this man maltreated me when I was in secondary school, and therefore I'm not intimate with my wife, or I don't want to even get married at all. All men are XYZ, or things like that that can hold you back. I mean, when I was growing up in the States, I got stuck in an elevator, and I freaked out. Claustrophobic. My younger brother, helped sorted me out, and I think I was about 7. 20 years later in Lagos, I was going for a meeting at UBA or Union Bank, and when they say, okay, the meeting is on the 24th floor, I'll say, okay, I'll see you guys upstairs, and then I'll take the stairs.
You just wanted to deliberately suffer or what?
No, it was like, I got stuck.
I know, I understand, I get.
So, but the truth is, for some people, they hold this thing happens all their life, and they're stuck, and they're stuck in their thinking, in their thought patterns. They go to extreme thinking. This My life would never be the same. I can never be good. I can never be, and you use all those very extreme words and all that. So, the beauty of being a counselor and a coach is you help people unlock. Many times the issues is things that are inside their brain. And I like what you said. You said, what's the worst that can happen? And so when in church, when I was in church and they made me a head usher, I said, no, I don't want to be a head usher. I'm shy. They said, look at you, tall guy. You cannot be shy, my friend. You're a head usher. And I realized over time that one of the reasons why I didn't want to be a head usher was this same rejection thing.
Wow.
And so one day I now said, you know what? I beg. So what? I stood by the door and I said, you know what? I'm going to be standing by the door and greeting people and have fun at it. So I would greet 20 people, I meant make a mental note. 10 people replied me, 4 people greeted me before, and 6 people didn't answer me. And I like what you said. I'll say to myself, so what?
But
And the next day,
the gravity of what you just said now, people can't really understand, because I knew when you were head usher then, you were the ED of still one of Nigeria's biggest ICT firms, and you were an usher. That's a whole lot of, so you're like, on a normal day, they can't even book appointments with you, let's face it. But there you are as the usher, and you're still having to deal with the fear of rejection. I hope you understand what that is.
oh yes. And so it goes back. So it goes back to something a lady called Joyce Meyer, a preacher called Joyce Meyer would say, feel the fear but do it anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, they put me in a box. They said you must do it. Oh, so I didn't have any choice. But you do it the first time, you're still scared. You do it the second time, you find out that by the time you continue doing it, you find out that, hey, this thing isn't as bad as you thought. By the time I visited another customer after that, and they said, oh, there's another deal. Next thing after that bank deal, they were now calling me. They say you went to school with this other MD of this bank. Oh, please go and give him a call. Was it easy for me to just pick up the phone and make the call? No. But was it as difficult as the last time when I took over about a week to make that call? No way. And so I found it was easier. Yeah, I'm more a text chat person, but I beg, when it's time to bring in the deals, you have to step out of your comfort zone. And it's really more about stepping out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know,
Definitely.
doing what you do. I mean, Jeff Bezos, who is one of the richest men in the world, like he has one very powerful quote. He says something to the effect of, um, "If you don't want to do anything great, or if you know if you're afraid of being criticized or something, then you're not going to do anything uh, out of this world."
Yeah.
So you have to be able to step out of that mindset, and we all have minds of various things in the country, in your workplace, about relationships. Many of these things hold us back. So
Wow. Wow.
I hope that has helped. I
Wow.
hope that has
Yes.
helped somebody because
You said a whole lot. You said a whole lot. But I want to. I just want to take you back down back memory lane.
yeah,
You said something about the culture you were able to instill right there. You didn't know the impact you were doing then because you did a whole lot of, like you said something about the stuff that basically passed through you then at the sorcery. And remember, you also said about the confidence, the, you know what, they were not restricted. We had this kind of, I can't, they can win attitude. And looking back, I remember my class, my set in resourcery. Every single one of them, you can attest to this, they are doing really, really great out there. Part of the reasons why people find it a little bit funny to say, come, what exactly is it about you and resourcery as at that time? I'm like, you know what? It was a place that allowed you to try. It was a place that, how would I explain this? I haven't seen an organization like that, sincerely, that would enable you, give you opportunities for growth. Sincere, like your boss sincerely wanted you to grow, to fix yourself, to be able to try. I remember when I was leaving resourcery and all of that. It's that same attitude, that same spirit that actually also kept driving to say, you know what, find your niche, find where suits you best. Do not be afraid to, you know what, don't say just because of, yes, comfort and all of that, you won't do you or you won't say what's on your mind. And I can say that was really, really rewarding. And that was an environment that you were actually, I would say that you were championing that process. I remember very well. So looking back and with what you're saying, I'm relating you coming from the point of dealing with rejection and then now being in a position where you had to impact that change. And what you now did instead was to create an environment that did not foster any form of minimal politics, facilitating growth, and trying as much as possible to eliminate rejection. I see. I really understand everything.
I like the way you connected everything. I never looked at it from that.
Yeah,
I never looked at it from that
because
point of view.
I'll tell you a conversation we had, and I've had that conversation. I've had that conversation with at least maybe 5 or 6 of my other staff that I've probably had to recruit over time. I had a conversation. I've never. It was a shock for me. I was dealing with a few things and I needed to come and I wanted to rake for my boss. Imagine a normal situation. Let me just come and rake for boss that, you know what, I need pay raise, I need this. I want, you know how we usually come around with all those kind of questions or all those kind of sessions at resource with them. I wanted the raise. I could not articulate myself. I just knew, see, I need this raise. I just went there and of course, I barged into your office and I was like, boss, let's do this. As in, and I remember the first thing Akanimo said. He
Is
said,
what did I
so
say?
I remember very well. He said, so Funsho, do you want to have this conversation as Funsho to Akanimo, like on a friend basis? Or do you want us to have this conversation as boss to subordinate? That totally changed the dynamics of every single thing. And then I had a conversation with, of course, I chose the latter option because I didn't want to get a query. It was an A or B warning I used to give that time. So you were able to create an environment for me to vent and say whatever I wanted to vent, but as Funsho to Akanimo, with you giving me advice and saying, no, you know what, this is how you should do it. So when you're talking to, see, we are talking as, and that's how you were saying it then, we're talking as friends like this now. So when you want to go and present your case to Akanimo, that's the, as boss to subordinate, these are the points you should have there. And I left that meeting understanding the value of actually having a great boss that created that environment. So looking at where you're coming from, I can truly truly understand how you were able to create that environment. I'm sure you remember that conversation now.
I don't remember it, but thank you for.
But I won't forget it.
But thanks for sharing that. I mean, I think something else I would like to mention. When because I traveled so much with my dad abroad, and when I came to Nigeria, I found out that people in Nigeria were very, generally speaking, were very age conscious. So, I can have a conversation with, someone in my secondary school or university, and, we're debating intellectually. But the second you don't like what I say,
Yeah.
you now remind me about that I'm 3 years younger than you. um, it was something I never understood, and up to now I still don't understand why, what age has got to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think over time I resented this issue so much of around age. I just felt, why can't you take me for what I'm saying, my arguments, my intellect, the debate, and all that. If I'm bringing ideas, what has anything got to do with age? So all my very close friends from university, they're still my friends now, 35 or so years later, but all of them are older than me. But I always tease them and say, because I'm so tall, they felt I was their age. And so I tease them and I say, if you guys really knew that I was much younger, I'm sure you guys wouldn't have, accepted me. But by that time it was too late. They liked me. I was part of the team and all that. So I think in coming to an organization, I always wanted to have an organization, then in resourcery and even now in my private firm, where I want to have people who. That's why I was very against this thing about don't call me sir. I never like that thing around the sir thing. Come as you are. Let's talk. Let's hear your ideas. Don't come intimidated. Don't come thinking, who am I? I can't change the status quo. I can't challenge things around here. And if I'm saying something and you disagree with it, and I'm happy you can testify to that. You can say, "Oh, guy, I disagree." Oh. And I don't think I ever uttered, "You must agree because I'm your boss," or "You must agree because I'm older than you." I will hear you out. We always say is that say it politely, but be passionate about it and all that, and we hear you out. Sometimes your ideas will be adopted, sometimes they won't be. So I think it was a mix of that. So I found that over time, I've always related very well with people who are much younger than me. Um, and right now, most of the people I train, counsel, and coach are millennials. I just feel
Mm-hmm.
I just flow
Just flow with
very
them.
easily
Wow.
uh, with them. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm getting some questions from people now. So I have a question from someone who's asking, what exactly would you have done differently looking back?
That's one of those dangerous questions. Um, what would I have done differently? I think two things. I think maybe mainly one thing. One is that I wouldn't have stayed. I wouldn't have stayed in one company for 25 years. So
I was going to get there.
sometimes I look back and I say, now waiting now.
The entire you put for there.
They time me waiting. Some people look at me and they say, you mean you actually left that place? You mean you left? So
Was it
if there's
place?
any, it was a great place to work, but I feel like I could have explored uh, much earlier. But yeah, that fear of the unknown. I'm not. I won't say I'm an adventurous person. When my wife and I traveled to South Africa one time, they said, "Hey, there's a lion over there. You can either stay over here and wave at the lion, or you can go to the lion and you can
Touch.
tap the lion and all that." So I said, say to my wife, "Who is going to be so crazy to go and touch the lion?" And by the time I turned to my wife had gone. the lion. I said, what kind of crazy woman am I? What's going on here? She said, please snap me, snap me. And she was there with the lion and holding the lion and taking pictures. I said, no, they know, but they bought me well of me. Yeah, I'm from far. I will wave. So I've never been an adventurous,
Wow.
let me go and do a, Scooby Doo or dives and all that. So yeah. So if there's anything, in answer to that question, I wouldn't have stayed that long. I would have branched out earlier and taken a gamble that life earlier. But why it has happened. It's happened, and I'm loving my life right now. So
Mm.
yeah, but that's what I would have done differently. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just do a backtrack into a day you cannot forget. Let's just say like a deal gone south. How did you feel?
A deal
Emotion
gone. A
gone
deal
south.
gone south.
Yeah.
Hmm. As you said, this wasn't scripted, so that's a tough one. But nice one. Okay, so I remember. So thanks a lot for that one. Yeah, now I remember one. Very painful. Uh, we had we had. I don't know whether sweated is a good word, is an English word, but we had battled on this project for about 9 months. Shortlisted to three companies. They were doing a huge building, a multi-story building, structured cabling, and all that. And anyway, eventually, lots of back and forth, change that quotation, from nine competitors to three, and eventually we won the deal. Oh, you know, call for celebration, great. The execution of the project, I was the head of the project team. Lots of pressure, stress to get it delivered on time, but we delivered. So not only did we win it, we delivered it on time. Fantastic implementation. That was end of part one.
Mm.
9 months later, there was some issue with that building, with the landlord, EFCC, something to do with the building. So the company had to move out of that building. And so who else are they going to call? I mean, after we did it before, right?
Yeah.
So they moved to another building, and so they said, okay, they needed, at first we felt okay, I mean, we did the one, about a year ago, so just call us. They said no, for tender purposes, they have to go with three organizations. So there was some guy who we felt, you guys are big, but you're not as you can
Mm-hmm.
be big, but it's not by big.
Mm.
So and then there was one.
Mm.
There was a technician who used to work in the company who
Mm.
was a part of that project, but
Mm-hmm.
they had left the organization, and he started this his you know literally one man organization. And so we were laughing because on one end you have this huge company that we knew didn't match us when it came to this thing, and then yeah, you have this guy who was a technician.
Mm.
Um, he had worked on the project, but just started his business maybe 3 to 5 months ago. I mean, who does he wants to come and compete with the organization? He won the deal.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
Lord,
With
I
what competence? How? Wait. With all your profile, with all your
big game.
wait,
Yes, proposal,
everything,
everything, and
technician,
and
one man business
and we had done it before. It's not like we
before.
had done it for the same company before. I was like, I think I must have been depressed for like 3 days. I said, I don't understand. I don't
Like
understand.
what happened?
What's going on? How? You
You
know,
had done it before, so
for the same client. So, I think that it was an eye opener for me, and I guess I'm seeing it now as well. That for then customers have began to shift from both. Yes,
hmm,
the brand is nice, so the title is nice. Yeah, you've done it, but this guy can do it too.
hmm,
He was part of the project
hmm.
that implemented it the first way, and hey, someone here has confirmed that he remembers the deal. And then so the customer were like, I think. it's not by the same way we're looking at those other bigger guys and saying, I beg, it's not by size. I'm sure this other younger guy was looking at us and saying, it's not
It's not.
by it's not
Hmm.
by size. So, you have to. So yeah, that hit me a lot and also taught me a lot in terms of, well, never don't underestimate your competition. Um, your customer may be looking at different things. Say, hey, yeah, you guys are quoting this thing at 15 million. There's some
Hmm.
guy who says he can do it for 6, 7 million, and then checking your. Sometimes you bite your, you make the mistake as a customer and go and because you're paying for it, you want to be cheap, you go and make a mistake. But they check this guy out well. I think from what I heard that the job was executed properly. So
Yeah. So, but how were you able to face your MD then? You were head of project, so, and you lost a major deal to a technician. How do you come from that? How do you come and face and say, yes, I have my LBS, I spoke English, I carried the proposal, I checked every single detail. I was I know how you say, like, get it done. And then I'm sure you'd have felt better if it was a bigger company that won. You're like, okay, they are big. Something happened. But I don't know how I'll sleep at night, sincerely.
well, I guess yeah. The beauty was that, well, not the beauty. Like I said, I was at the back end, so
Yeah.
people that
Was there still
lost it.
people that
Yes, but the thing is still the pain was still with. I mean, the pain was still. It was as if I lost it as well. And so,
you never
I was more the person of, guys, what's the lessons learned
mm,
here? Now we're blowing hot, we're angry, we're swearing. What are we going to learn uh, from this? So it's always been about learning. Some things you can't. Yeah, go and blow off some steam. Go and have a drink. Go and get angry. Kick the
wow,
dustbin, but come back and what are we
wow,
going to learn from this? So,
wow. Permit me to ask you this question. Akanimo,
so,
he shocked you.
yeah,
He
it,
shocked you.
it not shock me. I weak. Ah, I weak badly. Like what?
Wow, wow,
Oh
wow,
Lord. So
wow.
you win some, they
You
said you
but
yeah,
but
I
that's
mean what
yeah, go on.
I was going to share that, there was a time, one of the things that, when you said this, it shocked me. I wrote an article recently and then people were replying in the group and saying, what? I remember once there was a guy who was a fantastic guy in the same company, sales guy, could close any deal, loved his sales, natural sales guy, loved, hobnobbing with the clients and all that. And at that time, as head of HR, we were trying to push for cars and let's give cars to, some of our senior people. And then I was able to make that case to my MD, and he said, okay, fine, let's start giving cars to non-executive staff and all that. So this was the position for the head of sales. Who else would we, who else? I mean, what should we do? This guy was consistently last 4 or 5 years. I mean, you know, so announced on the internet, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is, the new head of sales. Is company car and all that. People were, accolades to the guy, sending him messages, broadcasts on the internet and all that, hailing HR. This is a fantastic move. I was feeling like, this LBS where I go,
Yeah.
it's not for nothing, very happy and all that. You know, a week later, the guy resigned. I said,
Let me
I
ask you
don't.
again. It
I said,
shocked you?
I don't. It shocked me. I said, I don't understand. Is it the type of car? No. Is it the salary we gave you? No. Is it? I don't understand. You resigned.
How?
He left, though, but it was later on because this thing perplexed me. I was like, what part of my LBS did I not read? I don't understand. What? It shocked me. I later realized it very simple. Talk to people, though, and
Mm-hmm.
ask them what they want. Because you see, we had assumed, and I share this with the companies that I consult for and all that. We had assumed that for everybody, everybody wants vertical growth.
Yeah.
Abi,
Yeah.
you're a child, you become a teenager, you become an adult. I mean, that's so logically, everybody wants to grow, and that people want to, come into an organization and they're independent contributors, and then later on they have a team of 5 people when they're discussing at the party and all. They say, oh yeah, I manage a team of 8 people, and people like that, and that's great. This guy didn't.
Mm.
Even up to now, the other organizations have monitored him in other places he's worked. He's an independent contributor.
Mm.
Don't give him people to manage. He doesn't want. And so we've grown up thinking that everyone wants to lead. Not everybody wants to lead.
Mm.
He is okay
By himself.
by himself.
One
And
man
there's
before.
one man. And so in a sense, we caused him to leave because it's
Wow.
like, I mean, even though that phrase had not come up that time, but it was like, I cannot come and be killing myself, I beg. I don't want to manage. I will not be managing four or
How was
five
your car?
people.
Not car down.
No car. I beg, carry your car, I beg.
Mm.
So simple thing. Ask people what's their career plans, what do they want, and all that. For some people, they can grow horizontally and they're fine.
Mm.
They're okay. I mean, we saw that with developers and all that. I've I've hired people for clients where well, now because people are working from home, it makes sense. But 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I hired a developer for a client and all that, and the client is like, why is the guy wearing t-shirt? I don't understand. Or why is the guy insisting that he will wear t-shirts? And I was like,
Mhm.
but these guys, let them wear the t-shirt and the jeans. It's okay. Oh. No, our policy says he must wear. Okay, leave that policy matter. You better find a way to be a bit more flexible and accommodating. Now that we're working from home, people are seeing that techies need the space. It's easier for people to adopt, but then it wasn't. So whenever I think of one of my biggest HR blunders, I say that is definitely one of them.
Mm. 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 Well, I have a question from someone here now. She says, if you're interning in a company, at what point would you consider that one leaves to start something? And what are the things to look out for? Okay, I think this is talking from her own career perspective. Okay, good.
That one is
So at
deep.
what
Oh.
point do you how now? Can't be too deep
No,
for you
so I
now.
mean, no, it's not. It's not. I mean, it seems that. I mean, I'm hoping she would like my answer, but there's no.
Okay.
I'm not going to
So
be able
let's
to
put it
tell
in
you.
your own context now. At
Yeah,
what point would you have thought, looking back, let's personalize it now. So you
yeah.
said yes, you don't think you should have probably you wouldn't have stayed 25 years there, but at what point do you think it would have been okay to have left, to start something, to follow your passion,
Mm.
to follow your dream?
In that context where I was coming from, growing up from sales and all that into HR and all that, I would say maybe 12, 15 years afterwards.
Well, you
But
won't
again,
have met me.
I would have met you now. Say, check them now. So again, I would have met you, and then all these people that you have to tell me all these people that you said that they're now
Yeah.
superstars where they are. I need their names. They have to give me business. I didn't groom people for I didn't groom people for nothing. But no, but let me go back to the lady. Whether it was the lady or guy. So no, there's no hard or fast rule. Don't go and say I spent 15 years. Go and follow, save, spend 15 years before you move. Is a knowing. For some people, it's
Yeah.
the time is right when they've gathered enough skill. For some people, they have more of an aptitude for risk and adventure. They want to go and try things out. Some people want to be safe and make sure that things are running smoothly before they take that jump. I would say, there's never going to be, uh, there's never going to be a safe time. Everything's not going to be perfect before you make that move. So, gather the skills that you can. I like what she said, interning. And, I advised somebody about that just yesterday. Person hasn't worked for 8 months. COVID period, things have been tough and all that. and she wants to follow a particular line of work. And I said, okay, I hear you, but that area of business in these times is not exactly thriving. So what do you do? And I threw out two options for her. We came up with two options. One was either you go and volunteer working somewhere in that area that you're very passionate about, even if it's free. Yeah, even if it's free. And go and gather the skill, like this person pointed out, and go and intern, get more skill and all that. It's only when you're in the process of doing that someone can now say, this person is good in this thing. Well, let's pay her this, or let's put her in this place. Or go and look for something else to do, which might not even be your core area. And at least it's giving you some money, pending when you can start doing what uh, you want to do. So, I've met
So
brave people who, yeah.
okay, so what you're just saying there is do what you have to do till you can do what you want to do.
Ah, correct guy. And mine is to do the talking. Only is to just perfectly craft it.
Yes,
I like
yes,
that. So
because
that,
I see that a whole lot of times with a lot of people, especially with people, businesses, and you just really want to, you haven't really thought out, you know what, always have a plan. That's what I always tell people. Always have a plan. You might not have the full picture, but at least have something that you can work with. Because I see a lot of people, it's like, you know what, you haven't even yet scratched the surface of what exactly, you see, it might not really make sense. I look at it things this way. Let me give you an example. I had my first startup when I was, I think, in my year two. It made a whole lot of sense. We had that was overloaded.com. I had quite over 500, 600. I think got to about 1,000. Then we had people who were members. We were doing well. We were doing well. But I remember when I was done with school, I had this decision that I had to I had to choose between, following up with the startup that we were funding with our own money. It wasn't bringing in money, or just my partner, then we're funding it. I had to go and serve in Ogun State. He had to go somewhere. And that was, I think, was it Gombe or something? Yobe. That was the end. At that time, sincerely, internet penetration wasn't that great. Looking back, a lot of times it have been like, but you had a startup now. You guys were doing, I could easily have jumped and said that, but then how will I tell my father, my mother, maths and statistics graduate, you are finished, you want to go and do startup? Startup like 15 years ago. No, now it's not that Paystack is making startup look good. Now you see the potential in Paystack, you haven't tell your daughters that you are going to do that startup. But then it did, I'm telling you, if we did with our funds and everything at that point, then looking back, I think like, you know what, picking up that 9 to 5 that I did, as at that point, it was a stopgap, but that wasn't the destination.
I like that.
It was a stopgap while I was still, reposition, get some skills. I see myself and I say, every single place I've worked, I came to learn skills. I was at Allied Soft, yes. Before then, I was at a consulting firm. I learned consulting. I learned business plans, understanding a lot of stuff. But then it's a journey. Then, of course, I was at Allied Soft, learned core programming. I went straight to resourcery. We did enterprise applications. Yes, we did a whole lot of things. But then I went, and the next time again, I went to Wakana. I learned business. So it's like a journey, and you're picking up different things as you go, And when you just think about it, like the sum of the parts make up the whole. It's basically all. So a lot of times people forget that, you know what, for what you want to do, there's a skill that is required. And sometimes you might not necessarily have that skill yet. You might have the vision, but sometimes you might just not necessarily have the capacity yet to do it. So when do you now know that you have that capacity? I think that's up to you.
Yeah.
Sincerely, it's up to you
And
that you will know. Yeah,
your appetite for risk. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I used to tell people that companies want commitment, not necessarily loyalty. Um, and so If you're
Sorry,
there
sorry,
for,
sorry. Pause. Just break that down. Commitment, loyalty. I think someone is asking just in your own terms. Yes.
sure. So, as much as, then we used to want, let people work for 10 years, 15 years, it's nice, it's sweet. Hey, people nowadays are hardly going to do that. So if you're going to work with me for 3 years, I'm happy, I'm okay. But make sure you're committed to your work in that 3 years. So loyalty connotes you're going to stay here for 10,
Yeah.
15, 20 years. No, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. I'm okay. If you want to stay here for 3 years, it's fine. But do I have your commitment in terms of your commitment to work, commitment to our goals and all that? And while you may have your own, of course, you're also benefiting, like you said, you're also gathering some skills. I remember once an IT guy, we wanted him to go and do a course abroad. Then, there's something IT guys didn't like when we say sign a training bond. I'm sure you know
Bond.
that IT guys hated that word. They
Yeah.
don't like that word bond. So it's okay, sign a training agreement. God, we don't want to sign a training. So this particular guy said he was a youth corper and he had the foundational skills. He had built some skills. And so we said we needed him to go and do a training course in South Africa. I said, but I can't afford for you to now disappear after I send you for the course. But the guy refused to sign the training agreement or bond or whatever. So my MD was like, get him to sign, get him to sign. So I said, guy, can you stay here for 3 years? He said, no.
Well, straight.
He said, no, you can't stay for 3 years. I said, okay. So I asked my people, how long, when is this project? He said, the project is the next 6 months and all that. I said, can you stay for 2 years? The guy said, no. I said, in my mind, I said, see this crazy guy, you know? So he said, no, you can't stay for 2 years. So I said, okay, so can you stay for 18 months? He said, yes. I said, 18 months. He said, yeah. I said, look me in the eye and tell me that you're not going to leave me in 18 months. And he said, no, he's not going to leave me in 18 months. One of my most interesting stories in the company. And so I went back to the business and found out that, 18 months was enough time for him to execute the work, the projects, train other people and all that. So I said, deal. We didn't sign any training agreement. We didn't sign nothing. My MD felt I was crazy. He said, what? You're not going to sign it? I said, no, the guy, I believe in people. He looked me in the eye and said he's not going to leave me. So, I have that faith. I remember, I think in 15 months, he wasn't in the month 15, he wasn't very happy with his salary. And I said, well, this is the salary I want to give you. I said, but you can't leave me now, 18 months. But, the guy left, the guy kept to his word. And I felt, while I couldn't say that for every engineer, but I found that most technical people, one, they didn't like the training agreement thing. But, if they said they were going to stay
Yeah.
for a part of time, they would. And, for those who decide to mess you up, one of my philosophies in life is that life is don't burn bridges. If you had to leave, don't burn bridges. And you and I are here today because don't burn bridges. That you may not be happy with the organization that you're in and all that, but maintain relationships. You never know when you're going to need somebody. You never know when someone's going to require a referral. One of my best customers now, you know him, I won't mention him. One of my best customers now, when I was working in the company, we had a huge fight. I even said to my MD, I don't want to work with this man. It's rude. He was rude to my staff and all that. My MD said, no, come on, come on. And, when I started working, doing my own business and all that, I went to see him. Now, because I had managed my emotions at the time and all that, by the time I went to see him, he's one of my biggest customers now. So it's just critical. Don't burn your bridges. You never know.
Wow.
You never know.
Wow. You know what? This is like the third time on Flop Nights that we're going to hear that same phrase. Don't burn bridges.
Wow,
Don't burn
seriously,
bridges. Yeah,
really,
this is
very.
the third time, and it just lets us know how significant this is on your journey because everybody needs another. You never really know when you would need the next person, and that's
Oh,
exactly what it is about Flop. Sincerely, because you stumbling, you just
it's
need
a
to pick
small
yourself up.
world.
It's a small
It's
world.
it's
Yeah.
really, really. I mean, I've I just believe it's just, you need guys. Okay, so you're in Canada, so what?
Mm-hmm.
One day they're going to say to you in Canada, can we get a reference from XYZ?
Mm.
Someone you worked with, in businesses, you
Mm-hmm.
need to work with people. One of the things that helps me in my business is partnerships. I can't do it alone. I have a consulting gig. I need to
Yeah.
bring in three consultants and all that. I bring people who I know I've worked with, I've connected with. So, very
Wow.
important not to burn bridges. Yeah, very important.
Wow. 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 It's been an awesome session, sincerely, as in Akanimo. It's been surreal, sincerely. And I'll just end it on one note. I want to ask you. So, what advice would you, if you were to give one advice to entrepreneurs out there?
Mm,
There's a lot of people have lost things, sincerely. With COVID coming in, people have lost jobs. There have never been more entrepreneurs than this time. Lots of people are venturing into things. A whole lot of people, there's a whole lot of uncertainty out there. And then there's also a whole lot of fear of rejection. What will I do? How do I go about this? Am I doing the right thing? You know what? Will this work? Will it
yeah.
not work?
Mm,
There's a whole lot of fear out there, panic out there.
yeah.
What would you say to them?
Ah,
What advice would you give to them?
I wish I had an hour on that. Anyway, what will I say? Very.
There's time, there's time, sincerely. You can talk.
I
I'm
will.
here.
I will say a couple of things. I mean, I know this word is maybe is being used a lot nowadays, but we all need to build in a lot of resilience um, into our system, and that's just going back to that quote around failing and then moving forward, failing and moving forward, because you're going to do a lot of experimentation. You're going to try things out that may work
Mhm.
and may not work. But we're really at a point where you really can't. You have no choice. Like you said, many
Mhm.
people have become entrepreneurs by force, not because they intended to, not
Yeah.
because life was planned that way. So you become an entrepreneur. So have your pity party for a day or two. That's okay. Cry over it. Your regrets and all that. But you know, put on those resilient clothes and step out. And so we all must build resilience. That's one. And I do that as a
Wow.
training course as well in terms of helping people to have a more resilient mindset, whether it's from teenagers to millennials to adults. Second thing I would say is, enjoy the journey, and I know that's enjoy the journey. Too many of us we look at the destination. Oh,
Mm.
did I hit this by this time? And what if you don't hit it by this time?
Wow.
I was just saying the other day on Facebook, and I said, hey, several years ago, I was about 115 kg,
Mhm.
and I joined the cycling club, and I had a target. I think while I was in Resourceway, and we said, hey, and I was able to drop to about 108 kg, and really happy with
Mm.
myself, and put in a lot of effort into my cycling and what I eat and all that. And my wife cooks really well, so I'm challenged between eating good food and then still exercising and all that. But I was able to get down to about 97 kg, and some people felt, hey, am I sick? Am I okay? Really proud of myself and all that. But with
Mm.
COVID and just sometimes I beg, I cannot kill myself. I beg, where's that pound yam? Give it to me. Um, by the time mid COVID, the
Mhm.
social distancing from the fridge was very hard. Uh, and my biggest enemy wasn't COVID, it was bread. My children are eating bread, I will follow them and eat bread. And me and bread, they don't go well in my system. So, I mean, when I say it doesn't work, once I eat it, like the kgs go up.
Mm.
So, there've been times this year, and so right now I'm back to about 105 kg. There've been times this year I've been
Mm.
like sad, depressed, angry, but I'm like, oh boy, enjoy the journey. Just enjoy it.
Mm.
Sometimes you're going to hit those highs of 105. Sometimes you're going to get back lower. 97, but
Mm.
don't, as much as I want to aim towards a healthier lifestyle and all that, just enjoy life as it goes. And so, in terms of those who are entrepreneurs, you're going to make some mistakes. You are going to People don't like hearing you're going to fail in some areas. The biggest thing is don't be too hard on yourself. Dust off the dust. They've slammed the door on you. That business idea didn't work. Maybe your partner wasn't as ethical as you thought.
Mhm.
Learn from your mistakes and uh, and move on. So between resilience and that flexibility to get up, enjoy the journey, and don't take life that life is serious out there. We don't take life seriously. So don't take life so seriously. Not that's what I meant. Don't take life so seriously.
Don't
And
carry it on.
don't carry your head. And most importantly, I mean, not most importantly, but I also say take care of your physical and your mental
Yeah.
health. I have to throw that in out there because this year uh, I have gotten more counseling engagements than I've ever gotten in my
Wow.
last 8 years as a counselor because people are going through a lot of
Wow.
mental health issues
Wow.
and all that. It's no longer something to be ashamed of and all that. So people come to you for
Yeah.
they're anxious, they're depressed, and all that. So we need to protect our mental health, need to protect our
Yeah.
physical health because if you're not well mentally or physically, then you can't even go out to go and hustle. As they say, the hustle is real. Uh,
Yeah.
the environment is tough,
Yeah.
but we can get through this.
Awesome. I can see Baba Tokwe is raising his hand. There's someone there raising his hand. Let me do a gamble. We've not done this before, but we'll let someone from the audience talk. So let's just hear what he needs to say. Tokwe, I'm unmuting you in three, two, one. Yes, I think you can talk now. You have your hands raised. Your hands are raised. Okay, I think he's raised his hand previously. No problem. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, just to be sure. So I'll say Akanimo, thank you very much. It's been an awesome session, sincerely, and I've learned so much. I've learned stuff that I. It's been a relearning of some things, but I've heard stories that I had no idea. I had no clue. I had, let's say, like a figment, but I've heard a whole lot, and I'm really really happy that people out there are getting to see the other side of Akanimo, which some of us had only got to see back then, and it's really 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 nice. It's been an awesome experience with that sincerely. So I'll say thank you very much for gracing us on Flop Nights, and he's not easy to track. Please, it's,
So,
he's not easy to track. He's not an easy person to track down, but we got him here again, and out. That's really awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
thanks, Funshaw, and really appreciate this. I shared with you today. I want to also thank you for disgracing me in front of my children. So today, when I shared the flyer, I said to my kids, "Hey, I'm going to be on this program today," and all that. All I just said for my kids was, "Wow, check out his afro." And then I checked my hair and I realized there's no afro. So what are they referring to? And it was you. I says, "Well, it's okay. Next time you come on your program, I'll have grown my own
Let's see.
afro, maybe some beard
We
and
can
all that."
try.
But
We can
thanks a
try.
lot. It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope people have learned something from it. And failure is not final. So one of these,
Mm,
some of these quotes where they'll say things like, failure is not final. Don't be afraid to fail. Be
mm,
afraid not to try. You know,
mm, mm,
be
mm,
afraid not to try. And maybe I'll leave with one
mm,
of my favorite quotes from Shaw, and it says, for those people who regret a lot, one of the things I've said to myself, I don't want to regret. There's a book
mm,
called The Five Regrets of the Dying. Even if you don't read the book, you can go and read it up. But one of the five regrets is, people not, being true to themselves, not being courageous enough to try things out and all that. So, you know, um, There's a saying that says the best time to have planted a tree is 20 years ago,
Mm,
um, but the second best time is today.
mm,
So I find that so powerful. Yes, you could have done something 20 years ago. You didn't. Fine. The
mm,
best next time is okay, fine, it's 9:26 p.m. Fine. Next best time is tomorrow morning. Go out, start that thing, try it again, dust off that CV, you know, whatever it is,
mm, mm.
Uh, so
Wow, 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 wow.
thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Akanimo. Awesome session. Awesome session.
Thanks,
Wow.
Pacho.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay, so everyone there, this is another awesome episode of Flop Nights. We got to listen to Akanimo Ekong, and at least in final words, like he said, to thyself be true, be bold. It's not too late. You can start something now. Says second best time to start something is actually now. Best time, of course, 20 years ago, but you can pick yourself back up, dust yourself, focus, pick up yourself, and then get back there. It could be a little bit tough, all right there. These things happen, but you definitely need to keep going. You only truly fail when you stop trying. And I say there's so much right there. When you look out, are you seeing challenges or are you seeing opportunities? So I think the major thing is you need to look at life through the lens of the optimist. I think that's something that we need to look at. It's something that I have tried to do. I tag myself as an incurable optimist. Always see the best out of things. Always put a 10 on people. Always be positive because you know what? As you think, that's exactly how you are. So let's just take a little message straight up from our sponsors, Nairametrics. Wow, we can't say too much. We can't thank you too much. We can't say a whole lot about Nairametrics because these guys just go to nairametrics.com. All the news you need to get on business side. These guys constantly giving you content, not fake news. These guys will give you the original thing exactly as it is. So you want to make a financial decision, just basically go to Nairametrics. You would just have like a buffet of options to see there. Yes, follow the money. Nice one. So I would say, everybody, it's been an awesome session. Awesome session here. And another thing, so it's still Devlin, just before we go. Definitely, you have an idea, you're struggling with a business idea. We are the best people to come to. We know these flops, we know the ups and downs. We will help you fix your business. A lot of things that we do ranges all the way from, let's say, yeah, product management, all the way to application development. Yes, we're not just tech, we know business and we know how to do things right. So I'll say, you know what? You want to reach out to us, very simple, just send a message, hello@devlin.com.ng, and someone will definitely reach out to you. So thank you very much, everybody. Catch you all later and be good. Bye bye.